Yeah, we back. We back. Now let's get into it, man. Where do we begin? So I've been holding back on this topic because I've been waiting for the story to develop, more facts to come out, more information, and folks been telling me to talk about it. So let's get into it. So recently, I would say about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, however long, right? There was a major terrorist attack in Mali. The enemy caught a major victory. But the thing that was most unusual to me was the fact that the perpetrators of this terrorist attack were not referred to as terrorists. I seen so many different words being thrown around. They were calling them rebels. They were calling them separatists. They were calling them resistance fighters, as if they were waging some type of honorable fight against the government. That was the first red flag when I seen how it was being portrayed and positioned in the Western media. But anyways, sometime last week, about a week and a half ago, right? It was a story circulating. Take a look up on the screen. Mali rebels say they killed dozens of government troops and Wagner mercenaries. Now, me on my channel, I've always been one to ask the question, how do these random dudes in the desert on a motorcycle wearing some flip-flops, keep in mind the nation is landlocked, how do they get access to any type of weaponry and ammunition to wipe out whole sections and brigades of government troops? That never made sense to me, right? These guys are in poverty. How do they have this equipment? How do they have this artillery? But now, in a shocking twist of events, take a look up on the screen. Mali cuts diplomatic ties with Ukraine, accusing it of aiding a rebel attack in the African country. Now, I'm going to replace the word rebel with terrorists. Okay, I'm just going to replace, when they say words, the rebels, the separatists, the revolutionaries, the freedom fighters. No, I'm just going to say terrorists. All right. So, Mali cuts diplomatic ties with Ukraine, accusing it of aiding a terrorist attack in the country, in the African country. That's a more accurate headline. Now, let's get into it. Mali's government is cutting diplomatic ties with Ukraine over allegations that Ukraine aided an attack last month by armed groups in the West African country in which Malian soldiers and Russian mercenaries suffered heavy losses. Mali's government spokesperson, Colonel Abdoulaye Maiga, said in a statement Sunday, the decision to immediately cut ties was prompted by comments from a Ukrainian official indicating his country's involvement in the insurgency. Now, if we trace the origins of the current instability we see happening in the Sahel region right now, that traces back to foreign interference, Western interference, arming and supporting certain quote-unquote rebel groups to destabilize the regime or overthrow a government, aka Gaddafi. Now, I'm not one of them Gaddafi fanboys, but the facts is the facts, right? This practice of covertly supporting armed rebel groups in the desert to destabilize certain regimes. Listen, man, we've seen where it leads. It leads to the current instability you see happening today. It's cause and effect. And as it relates to Ukraine, Ukraine is nothing but a vassal state anyway. Ukraine is not a sovereign state. Ukraine is not independent, okay? Ukraine is a colony, right? Ukraine is a client state. It's a satellite state. It's a proxy state, which means that whether it's the president or the supreme commander of the Ukrainian military, they can't even get up and use the bathroom without asking permission from Joe Biden or Emmanuel Macron or any one of their Western sponsors. That's what it is, man. They got to get the authorization. They got to ask permission before they do anything. Now, let's jump back into this article, man. This story is crazy. This is crazy. Ukrainian military intelligence agency spokesman Andriy Yusov last week told Ukrainian broadcaster that armed groups in Mali had received all the necessary information they needed from Ukraine to conduct the July attack. Now, the gentleman that made those comments is this guy right here. As you can see, high-ranking member of the Ukrainian military. But I do want to give a shout out to Senegal because Senegal actually could see it for what it is. Take a look up on the screen. Over the weekend, the Senegalese authorities summoned the Ukraine ambassador and accused him of supporting the attack in a since-deleted video posted on the Ukrainian embassy's Facebook account. Right, so I believe the ambassador in Senegal was also, I don't know what's up with these dudes, man. These dudes clout chasing off the military victory. If the Ukrainian authorities had any level of sophistication, they wouldn't even be talking about it for real. You shouldn't even be talking about it if you had any intelligence or sophistication, right? But they doing interviews, they posting on Facebook talking about, yeah, that was us. We was behind that. Yeah, we the authors of that crime. Like, what? How stupid do you gotta be to stand up in front of the world and actually say that we are providing weapons and intelligence to armed terrorists in the desert, in the Sahel, causing terror and mayhem in the Sahel? Innocent black women and children getting massacred, and we over here, we sponsoring it. How stupid do you got to be to actually get in front of a camera and even say that? Like, bro, these niggas is stupid. These dudes is dumb. Now, in response, the government of Mali just simply cut diplomatic ties altogether, man. We don't got nothing to talk about, bro. We don't got shit to talk about for real. And whether they like it or not, absolutely. The Western powers got their fingerprints all over this, because Ukraine wouldn't have the military capacity to even be arming rebels all over Africa without the help and sponsorship and military assistance of its Western sponsors. We got to keep it real, man. We got to tell the truth, man. We got to be honest. You mean to tell me Ukraine military personnel, Ukraine intelligence is in the Sahel right now arming rebels, and the United States and France, they don't know about it? They ain't hear about it? They ain't authorize it? Come on, man. Let's be for real, man. Come on, man. At this point, Ukraine owes its entire military capacity to the American and French taxpayer. We got to tell the truth, man. Take a look up on the screen. You could look at the headlines over the past year or so. French military equipment delivered to Ukraine. France insists it's no slacker on military aid to Ukraine. United States and France pledge support as Biden warns Russia will not stop at Ukraine. France to continue military support to Ukraine. Macron to supply Ukraine with warplanes. Biden administration announces significant new security assistance for Ukraine. Listen, man, we see what it is, man. We see what it is. But at this point, to steep so low to arm and equip terrorists. Man, but like I told y'all, man, this is the reality of life, man. These folks are armed some goddamn terrorists. These folks is crazy. But anyways, I want to give a shout out to Burkina Faso. Just like Senegal, they also made a statement. And I believe that African nations, you got to make a statement. You can't allow some random person came from out of nowhere from Ukraine causing terror and mayhem on the continent. That's crazy. Arming terrorists, going crazy, massacring whole villages. What's wrong with these people? The Western powers really got Ukraine out here acting goofy, man. How do you end up in West Africa funding terrorists, arming terrorists, commingling with Al-Qaeda affiliates? Like, Ukraine is really a vassal state to the 10th degree, man. But anyways, the good brothers in Burkina Faso had to make a statement. Take a look up on the screen. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Regional Cooperation in Burkina Faso abroad took note with indignation of the publication of a video of Ukrainian army propaganda broadcast on the embassy's Facebook page in Ukraine in Dakar, providing unequivocal support to terrorist groups of the cowardly and barbaric attack perpetrated between July 25th and 27th in northern Mali against the Malian armed forces. Burkina Faso strongly condemns this act of apology for terrorism and is surprised that it is relayed by the Ukrainian embassy. We call on the responsibility of the international community in the face of the choice made by Ukraine to support terrorism in a global context, where there is unanimity on the imperative to combat this scourge. Burkina Faso calls on peace-loving African countries in particular to denounce these subversive actions which threaten the stability of the continent. Burkina Faso reaffirms its unwavering support to the Malian armed forces in the fight for freedom and against international terrorism and its tentacles in the AES, as well as throughout the African continent. Now, that's how it gotta be. In a perfect world, the entire continent will be standing up right now because this is simply outrageous. But like I said, this story kind of flying under the radar anyway. But anyways, man, the Malian armed forces, they hit them boys with that back to back. Now, matter of fact, you remember when Drake dropped that diss track and then Kendrick dropped like 30 minutes afterwards? That's what happened. The very next day, man, listen, them shells was flying. You know what I'm saying? Them bombs was dropping. The Malian armed forces, they hit them with that back to back. The very next day, they responded. That's all I'm going to say, all right? The very next day, the Malian armed forces, in collaboration with the Burkina Faso Air Force, let's just say they responded, all right? That's all I'm going to say. They responded, all right? Retaliation was taken. That's all I'm going to say, man. Retaliation was taken. They told everybody, man, leave the zone, leave the area. We on the way. Leave the area. It's going to get hectic. You know what I'm saying? They put out a press release. Take a look up on the screen. They said, the General Staff of the Armed Forces informs national opinion that in accordance with the solidarity between the member states of the AES and in application of the collective defense and mutual assistance mechanism of the AES, the Malian Armed Forces, in coordination with the Armed Forces of Burkina Faso, began this Tuesday an air campaign in the area of Tinzouatin. I guess that's the area where the fighting was happening at. This campaign aims to secure people and property in the locality and its surroundings against the coalition of terrorists responsible for exactions, abuses, and illicit trafficking among the population. Specific high-value objectives include logistical plots and vehicles or targets. During this operation, the armed forces invite the civilian population in the area to keep a distance from positions occupied by armed terrorist groups to prevent any collateral damage. Now, to me, this whole story is crazy, man. This whole story is crazy. For Ukraine to come from whatever the hell they came from to be on African soil, waging war on African men. You talking about 47 black men died during that operation? Well, it could have been women too, because it's women in the Malian armed forces too. And you know it's some funny business, because I thought everybody was down for the fight against terrorism, right? But now all of a sudden these terrorists are being called rebels and separatists and all these fancy names and all these all these endearing names. No, call them terrorists, call them what they are. Call them criminals, call them what they are. Call them bandits, call them what they are. You're not giving them these pretty names in the media. What's wrong with these people? That's how you know it's some funny business going on, man. But to be so brazen with it, I can't even believe it. But anyways, I'm going to play a clip from the Malian government, an announcement they made talking about severing ties with Ukraine. And we out, man.
In the name of our highest authorities, I have the great honor of reading Communiqué number 068 from the transitional government, the contents of which follow. The transitional government of the Republic of Mali has learned with profound shock of the subversive statements by Mr. Andriy Yusov, spokesperson for the Ukrainian Military Intelligence Agency, in which he admitted Ukraine's involvement in a cowardly, treacherous, and barbaric attack by terrorist armed groups that resulted in the deaths of Malian defense and security forces in Tinzaouattan, as well as material damage. These statements were reinforced by Mr. Yuri Pivovarov, Ukraine's ambassador to Senegal, who openly and unequivocally expressed his country's support for international terrorism against Mali. Worse still, in their comments, these Ukrainian officials announced further results to come. These extremely grave assertions, which have not been denied or condemned by Ukrainian authorities, clearly demonstrate the official support of the Ukrainian government for terrorism in Africa, the Sahel, and specifically in Mali. The transitional government of the Republic of Mali has decided on the following measures. 1. The immediate severance of diplomatic relations between the Republic of Mali and Ukraine, whose fate is unfortunately entrusted to puppets who confuse the international stage with a theatre stage. I repeat, the immediate severance of diplomatic relations between the Republic of Mali and Ukraine, whose fate is unfortunately entrusted to puppets who confuse the international stage with a theatre stage.
All right, we back. Now, I couldn't be a leader of a nation, man. I know I couldn't do it, man. I'm very self-aware, because something like that, bro, I know myself. I'll be quick to go to war. I'll be quick to commit an act of war. I'll be quick to do some crazy shit. I know myself, so I could never do it, man. So I know my limitations. Nah, I'm cool, man. I'm cool, because it could get real hectic if I was a leader of a nation, man. As soon as something like this happening, immediately I'm talking about, well, we gotta march. We gotta march. Like, ain't no talking, bro. We gotta march. So no, I couldn't be a leader, man. I couldn't be a leader. But that's the reality. That's the reality. These vassal states, these satellite states. Ukraine, obviously, we're not gonna act like Ukraine was acting independently. Ukraine had the authorization and blessing of her sponsors, and we know who those sponsors are. And it makes sense. You know, it makes sense. Common interests at play, common enemies on the table. So I understand why Ukraine and her Western sponsors would authorize an attack like that. But this was an attack against the Malian government, right? They keep talking about Russia, Wagner. No, this was an attack upon the Malian government on Malian soil, right? On the national territory of Mali. You aided a terrorist attack on another government. Call it what you want. Call it what you want. And it's supposed to be consequences for that. That's all I'm going to say. Anyways, man, it's your boy Nebuchadnezzar. That's Elaine back in the building. Yes, indeed. Cash app in the description. And I'm gone. Peace.
No. Feel like I'm 75. Know that your team be full of them traders. You know that can never be mine. I'm grabbing a thought when I drive. I'm back in my zone and we on. She said that she ready to come be my wife. Yeah, hoping I don't do her wrong. I gave her my word and it's bond. I'm whipping the best like a lamb. I mean no chicken and lamb. Accustomed to call me the man. I never be up on the gram. I'm keeping that way undercover. She want me to tell her I love her. I told her I'm breaking the rules. I told her we making the news. Back in my city they loving me. Standing alone I'm 100 deep. Enemy plotting is still in reach. They try to make sure that we underneath. Trying to to make sure that we never make it. Coming for power, come get acquainted. Coming for everything that I wanted. Feeling like Drake, but I really wrote it. Feeling like Kendrick, I'm checking names. Gotta roll up while I go insane. Got so much stress, I been gated weight. Stuffing these racks in this Louis case. One thing for certain, I'm about to check. Keep it 100 and nothing less. Stick with the family since day one. Had to stay down till my day come. Had to stay down, but I'm never patient. Hop on the mic and I'm motivated. Hop on the mic and I drive a classic. Haters can't see me, they copping glasses. Back in the studio making magic. Got a new tape and it's in production. Back on my business, I got a budget. Staying low key when I'm out in public. Feel like I'm 75. Know that your team be full of them traitors, you know that can never be mine. I'm grabbing a thought when I drive. I'm back in my zone and we on. She said that she ready to come be my wifey and hoping I don't do her wrong. I gave her my word in this bond. I'm whipping the best like a lamb. I mean no chicken and lamb. Accustomed to call me the man. I never be up on the gram. I'm keeping that way undercover. She want me to tell her I love her. I told her I'm breaking the rules. I told her we making the news. Making the